Already discussed how the enzymes and other substances in the GI tract break down food into the smallest nutrients that can be absorbed. Now we're going to discuss how these nutrients get absorbed. The small intestine has an amazing structure. You may recall that we talked about how the small intestine is the major site of digestion and absorption. This is facilitated by the unique structure of the small intestine. Over its 10 feet of length, there are villi, which are finger-like projections that form folds in the small intestine. And these folds maximize the digestive and absorptive surface area of the small intestine 600 times. So think about 10 feet multiplied by 600, and that's how much absorptive surface is located in the small intestine. The microvilli are tiny hair-like projections on each cell of every villus that can trap nutrient particles and transport them into the cells. The villi are in constant motion, and any nutrient molecule small enough to be absorbed is trapped among the microvilli and then drawn into the cells beneath them. Partially digested nutrients are also caught in the microvilli, allowing further digestion by the enzymes there, and then finally absorption into cells. So this is a very, very efficient process that allows really very little to be lost in the digestive process. Of course, unless something goes wrong. So this picture illustrates both the villi and the microvilli. And if you notice in the picture, the small finger-like projections, and then lining each of these finger-like projections, you have part of the capillaries, which are part of the circulatory system, and you have part of the lymphatic system as well. The lacteals are part of the lymphatic system, which take up the products of fat digestion, and other nutrients such as sugars, amino acids, vitamins, and minerals go directly into the capillaries, which are part of the circulatory system. Glands that secrete enzymes are located in between the villi as well. So different portions of the small intestine are specifically designed to absorb different nutrients. And as we mentioned previously, the rate at which nutrients travel through the GI tract is adjusted to maximize their availability to the appropriate absorptive segment of the tract when they are ready. We talked about how meals that are carbohydrate or simple sugar-based are digested much more quickly and further up in the small intestine than meals that are full of fat. It is erroneous to think that people should not eat certain food combinations at the same meal. The digestive system can handle any type of food combination at any time. Actually, the opposite is true. Foods eaten together can enhance the absorption of food and the use by the body. So it's fine to eat a complex meal as long as the digestive system is functioning appropriately. We mentioned before the lymphatic system, and the lymphatic system is a loosely organized system of vessels and ducts that convey the products of digestion towards the heart. The lymph is a bodily fluid that consists of all the constituents of blood except red blood cells. And triglycerides and other products of fat digestion enter the body through the lacteals, which are part of the lymphatic system. Triglycerides are made up of glycerol and 3 fatty acids attached, and these are the primary forms of fat which we eat in our foods, and also the primary form of fat that the body uses. Because fat is not water soluble, fats need to travel around the body on lipoproteins. And these lipoproteins are clusters of lipids associated with proteins that act as transport vehicles for lipids in the lymph and ultimately, finally, at some point in the blood. The first lipoprotein that carries lipids from the intestinal cells are called chylomicrons. And these chylomicrons are made in the small intestine on the villi, and they take fats into the body and leave the fats behind where the cells need them, and then the remnants of them are picked up by the liver cells to be made into other lipoproteins that the body will use later. So let's think about this for a minute. We've already talked about how carbohydrate is digested fairly quickly, and it's digested high up in the in the small intestine, and other things are digested lower. It's important to note that people who experience malabsorption frequently have the most difficulty digesting fat. Considering the differences in fat, carbohydrate, and protein digestion and absorption, what do you feel is the explanation for this? Well, quite simply, digestion of carbohydrate begins in the mouth. Digestion of protein begins in the stomach. However, the major enzymes that promote fat digestion are not present until fat releases the small intestine. And then you'll remember that fat also needs to be emulsified. Fat absorption into the vascular system and the cells is more complex than either that of carbohydrate or protein because sugar and amino acids can enter directly into the bloodstream through the capillaries. Larger fats and fat-soluble vitamins, however, need to be packaged for transport into the vascular system, and they first enter the lymphatic system. Because fat digestion and absorption are more complex and rely on many different body tissues and processes, there's a lot of opportunity for something to go wrong in these processes. And that's why fat is not absorbed normally in many malabsorptive disorders.